everyone, my name is Emmett. My pronouns are they, them. Welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome. Tonight we are going to be doing something that I am really not looking forward to. Tonight I'm going to be responding in real time to the first time watching Unnatural Vegan's most recent video, which is a response video to commentary content creator D'Angelo Wallace, who made two videos responding to a TikToker named That Vegan Teacher. Over the summer in June, I made a response video to Unnatural Vegan's two videos that she made regarding Black Lives Matter. And the first video that she made was called Do Vegans Need to Talk About Black Lives Matter? And the second video was something to the effect of responding to my criticisms, this is not an apology. And for full context to show a pattern of behavior in terms of Unnatural Vegan and things that have already happened and things that have recently happened and developed with her channel, definitely check out that video. I'll post it in a card above. In the description of that video as well, there are videos by other content creators, specifically Black commentary creators, who commentated on her video. And just to get the full sort of breadth of what's been going on with Unnatural Vegan's channel as of late, go check that video out. And other required reading for this video is to watch both videos that D'Angelo Wallace posted in response to That Vegan Teacher. They're both 10 minutes long, and before intaking this video, it necessitates that you watch both of those videos, because in those videos, first of all, you will see the entire situation that Unnatural Vegan is responding to. And in those videos, D'Angelo shows the clips of what he is responding to by the TikToker, That Vegan Teacher. Those clips give a full, stark, clear framework for what D'Angelo was responding to, what he was saying, and will give more context to the way that Unnatural Vegan has responded to this situation. Now, I have not watched Unnatural Vegan's videos yet. She's posted two videos, actually. One of them is in response to a different commentary YouTuber named iNabber, and I'm definitely going to be watching that one as well, but I wanted to respond to the one that D'Angelo Wallace was the subject of. First of all, because I follow D'Angelo Wallace and absolutely love his content, and I had already seen both of the videos that he had posted and just sort of watched them over breakfast and then moved on with my life. After seeing those videos, I did not see a singular issue with either video. That Vegan Teacher, the TikToker, who this is all sort of like, she's sort of like the material everybody is responding to, has become somewhat of a meme, but she's a dangerous meme. I think most people, though, look at That Vegan Teacher and see her as an example of extremely ineffective vegan activism, of being the type of vegan that literally nobody wants to be or be around. She's like the archetype of the type of vegan that we don't want to perpetuate as a face of veganism. Her way of being a vegan activist is extremely detested by like the vegan community. Like, we don't claim her. Anyone who does is claiming racism, is claiming homophobia. And I have a lot of thoughts about the unfolding of this situation. I actually went like about 3 hours ago to sit down to watch all of these videos, and I was going to make like a scripted response video like I did over the summer. But as I was writing my script, I just wanted to come on and just respond in the moment. So I got like 5 minutes into this video. I have seen about 5 minutes of this video, and I want to just come on, watch it with you, and talk about my thoughts watching the video. as well as share the comment that D'Angelo posted. So for each timestamp that D'Angelo addressed, I'm going to read what he addressed, and I'm also going to give my own commentary on the situation, my own reaction, my own response. Full disclosure, I don't know how to film a reaction video. I will figure it out, and I will next level my YouTube game one day. But for now, we are just gonna turn ad blocker on my phone, open her video, and watch it together. I'll hold it up near my face, and we can just intake this together. And if that sort of bothers you because it looks like shit, then just tip your screen down and just listen to it, because you really don't need to see Unnatural Vegan's face the entire time that this is happening. It's actually better that you don't, because she makes this face in an extremely condescending way, like every 5 seconds, as if that's like going to prove her point. But moving right along, and one last note before we dive right in. This video is going to be long, and I'm really not going to edit it much because I just want to just share this space with you. And I know that a lot of you haven't watched her videos yet, probably because you don't want to give her AdSense. So we're just going to watch it with ad blocker on together right now. And I'm going to turn it on like 1.2 speed. I don't want it to be too fast for you guys, but I also want to be able to get through this. And yeah, so we're just going to start, okay? Let us begin.
But yeah, she's calling out the online LGBTQ community. It's not how I would do it, but she's not wrong. This is part 2 in my kind of that.
Okay, so apparently the LGBTQ community needs to be called out for something by that vegan teacher. Let's see what that vegan teacher decided to call out, to target and call out the LGBTQ community for, and let's see why Swayze thinks that the LGBTQ community deserved to be called out as a whole for something that had to do with veganism. Shall we? By the way, I am a queer transgender person, so let's just keep that in mind as we go along.
Vegan teacher series, I guess. Part 1 was a response to iNabber, his video responding to that vegan teacher, responding to him, responding to the whole Tommy in it stuff. This is a response to D'Angelo Wallace, his video responding to that vegan teacher, some random videos of hers, and the Tommy in it stuff. So here we go. So now D'Angelo Wallace. So here's his video, also pretty clickbait title, lives a double life. No, it's literally another character she does. We'll get to that in a minute.
The first point I want to talk about when it comes to looking at her.
Who the singular fuck gives a singular iota of a singular last iota of a fuck if D'Angelo Wallace uses a clickbaity title? That is not a gotcha. What is the point? What is the point in even observing that? Why?
To looking at her TikToks, the fact that she seems to think non-vegans are evil.
Jesus is vegan now, and God is too. If you want to get to heaven, you better be vegan too.
Apparently, Jesus and God are vegan.
That's definitely the hill I would want to die on too. I would definitely want to die on the hill of defending a woman who just made this song.
Jesus is vegan now, and God is too. If you want to get to heaven, you better be vegan too.
Apparently, Jesus and God are vegan. I'm starting with this one because to me, this is very satire-y.
He believes it's satire, but also that she's honestly saying non-vegans are evil? What? Which is it?
My girlfriend is a vegetarian, but at least that's better than eating meat. And this was that vegan teacher's response.
It's not good enough just to be vegetarian. Not even close. Somebody who drinks milk, eats cheese, and eats yogurt is paying for murder. You need to stop lying to yourself and dump her.
Not only is she advising that this person dumps their girlfriend, she also included this little caption where it says, "Don't date abusive people."
I mean, technically, yeah, supporting abusive animals is abusive. The dairy industry, the egg industry, very abusive. But yeah, it's clickbaity.
Unnatural Vegan is saying here that because animal exploitation abuses animals, which is a fact, she is manipulating that fact that animal exploitation is abusive into saying that anyone who engages with the system of animal exploitation is an abuser and deserves to not be in a relationship. They deserve to be classified as an abuser and don't deserve to be in a relationship with another human. She's justifying what that vegan teacher said about somebody saying that their partner like engages with this system that we are literally living within, because most people, first of all, it's not normalized. Veganism is not normalized. And it's also not a choice for everybody to be vegan. Not everybody can be vegan. Unnatural Vegan has talked about this copious amounts of times. Regardless of whether or not somebody can choose to go vegan but doesn't, or they can't choose to go vegan and don't, does not mean that they are an abusive person who is not worthy of a relationship. When we talk about effective activism, take all of the fucked upness out of that, which you really can't, but just all that aside, to be effective in terms of being an activist for the vegan movement, does she literally believe that calling people who engage in the system that we are under, that we were born into, and that needs massive deconstruction in order to be a more just, a less abusive system, because people engage with that system, now she believes that we as vegans should be using our voice in this way to call people abusers in their relationship and to stamp people as being abusers, and that they should not be in a relationship with other people because they engage with that system. There is literally so much wrong with that. Like, please, oh please, can we not?
It's intentionally provocative. That's her brand. Is it bad advocacy? In this case, I feel like probably a lot of people go vegetarian before going vegan. It's hard to go vegan all at once, and even if they never go vegan, vegetarian is still a huge step in the right direction. And
literally yes. Literally yes. So absolutely, it's bad activism. She prides herself on being like a logical sort of like point-to-point thinker, and I'm confused where the disconnect in that thinking is. I'm confused.
something that should be celebrated, in my opinion. It's still a huge break from me. And don't tell random strangers to dump their partners. Like, aside from extreme cases, like they're being beaten or something, just don't do that. Just because someone asks you a question doesn't mean you have to answer it.
This person's girlfriend, according to them.
Then why is she okay with this vegan teacher, with that vegan teacher, literally saying, don't date abusive people? And she's saying, well, yeah. And she's willing to agree to that point. That's not linear.
I thought her mission was to turn people vegan, but if we're like abandoning them, how is that going to turn anybody vegan?
100%. Well said.
Are gay people going to heaven?
Gay people are going to hell.
So is it true? Are gay people going to hell?
First she's talking about LGBT, and then we're randomly shoved into veganism, except I guess she's just going from For You page to For You page.
That's literally all she's doing. Like I said before, it's the shotgun approach. She's trying anything and everything to get eyes on the footage that exposes the animal agriculture industry for what it really is. She's made it...
And Unnatural Vegan, do you agree that that is effective? Do you agree that that is okay? Do you agree that that is compassionate? Do you agree that literally using anything to get people to have an outraged reaction to what you're saying is good vegan activism? Is that what you actually think? Is that...
pretty clear that and everything to get eyes on the footage that exposes the animal agriculture industry for what it really is. She's made it pretty clear that she's not a bigot. Most vegans are not bigots. Just the fact that she's not avoiding viral videos that are focused on like LGBTQ issues doesn't really mean anything.
So because she has expressed that she's not a bigot, that means that she's not a bigot. That's literally how that works now. She did not just say that. Like, she did not just say that she has said she's not a bigot, and it's pretty clear that she's not. That is not for Swayze to decide. It is not for Swayze to decide if someone is doing something that is bigoted to a marginalized community that she is not a part of. I am so sorry. I am so sorry, and I'm not trying to use this as a buzzword. This might not be a perfect fit for a word, but to me, that is just gaslighting an entire community and multiple communities into just thinking that she is not a bigot because she says she's not a bigot, so that makes it pretty clear. Her making the statement that it's pretty clear she's not a bigot, that statement in and of itself, she has no authority to say. She has no authority to deem what that vegan teacher is doing and saying about and to the LGBTQ community as bigotry. That is not for her to decide as a cishet woman. That's not for her to decide at all.
Vegan phobia on this app is very strong, and if we can get rid of racism here, and we can get rid of homophobia, surely we can get rid of the cruelty that animal rights activists are exposed to on a regular basis.
She got tagged in a video that she didn't like and immediately compared it to racism, homophobia, and sexism. Clearly you have...
Absolutely brilliant. What an absolutely fucking fantastic move, not only for marginalized communities, but for the vegan movement. What a fucking absolutely amazing word. Vegan phobia. What an absolutely fucking amazing thing to do is just move forward and act like vegan phobia is now an intersection that you are oppressed under. Let's talk about that a little more.
Clearly you have never experienced racism. If your first thought is, hey, this is just like racism, being vegan is definitely a choice. It's definitely not at the same level as other forms of bigotry.
Have you experienced vegan phobia? If not, does that disqualify you from talking about it? Because if it does, what is the point of this? Vegans are well known as being a hated group, and while it has finally become socially unaccepted, at least in most developed parts of the world, to express anti-gay sentiment, expressing hatred of vegans is not only acceptable, but actively cheered on by a lot of people, including within the social justice movement. There are still people calling for social justice and devaluing animals and ridiculing and shaming those who are driven to speak on their behalf.
Being vegan is definitely...
This is something that I've noticed that Unnatural Vegan does, is she makes a point that is true within a larger context of making a point that is ridiculous. So for example, she's saying that vegans are often ridiculed and that it's societally okay to mock and ridicule vegans. And while I agree that that's true to an extent, that is not oppression. Somebody making fun of you does not equate hatred. People making fun of vegans because the face of vegan communities are people like Unnatural Vegan and that vegan teacher does not mean that that group is suddenly an oppressed group, a marginalized group. Vegans are not an oppressed group. They are not a group in which hate crimes are perpetuated against. They're not a group in which any laws are made to not protect. It's the stupidest thing I have literally ever fucking heard in my life, and her taking on that word of vegan phobia and not even addressing that is literally not a thing. People are not vegan phobic and then act on hate crimes toward vegans. I'm sure that it's happened, but that is not a marginalization that is a part of you. That is not a part of the fucking fiber of your being. Being vegan is a choice. There are no systemic laws in place that actively discriminate against vegans in any sort of large-scale systematic way. There are not hate crimes against vegans on a mass scale. Why am I explaining this? Why am I explaining this? Why am I explaining this? Being vegan is an ethical choice. It is not an embodiment of a marginalization. This is the first point that D'Angelo responds to. So I'm going to read his response to the quote. Have you experienced vegan phobia? If not, does that disqualify you from talking about it? Because if it does, what is the point of this? D'Angelo says, I never said that not experiencing racism disqualifies you from speaking about it, though, which he did not. He did not say that you cannot speak about racism if you have not gone through racism. He says that if you have not gone through racism, then you don't know how racism feels. Those are two different statements, two different sentiments. It disqualifies you from speaking over those who do. which happens not just overtly, but by things like entering the conversation and comparing it to your own problems that have nothing to do with your race, etc., especially when nobody discriminates you based on your race or gender or sexuality, etc., in the first place. Next, he responds to, vegans are well known as a hated group, and while it has finally become socially unaccepted in most developed parts of the world to express anti-gay sentiment, expressing hatred for vegans is not only accepted, but actively cheered on. And D'Angelo says, see my last point. You just did the exact thing I pointed out. I'm literally still reeling at, in most developed parts of the world, it's become unaccepted to express anti-gay sentiments. That's not true. And also, the core of that statement does not even envelop what oppression is. Expressing an anti-gay sentiment is not the be-all of oppression. There is systemic oppression in our laws, in our systems here that discriminate actively against marginalized groups. Actively. It is written into the system. Vegans have the choice to be vegan if they can, and then they do. And nobody fucking bothers them for being vegan. Making fun of vegans is not oppressive. Like, making fun of vegans because the face of veganism is people like Unnatural Vegan and that vegan teacher is not oppression, vegan phobia, or hatred. It is none of those things. It is what I said it was. It is making fun of vegans. Is that the most, like, oppressed you've ever felt? Being made fun of for being vegan? Because actively expressing literal hatred toward vegans, I want her to come with researched examples. I want her to come with a fucking graph of a fucking trend. Give me something to even latch onto so I can even see your perspective of how you can be missing that racism and homophobia are systemic issues.
Veganism is a choice, sure, and that obviously makes it different from racism and sexism. But homophobia? Having that orientation isn't a choice, but obviously being in a gay relationship is a choice. Even the most conservative evangelical out there will acknowledge that humans have desires, and sometimes they're homosexual ones, and they'll say to repress it and marry a woman anyway. God's testing you or whatever, or it's Satan's influence, that sort of shit. Again, sexual orientation isn't a choice, but that's not what these bigots, that's not what these Christians are going after. That's not what they're calling sinful. They're calling gay sex, gay relationships sinful. And more specifically,
what the actual fuck did I just use my last 2 brain cells to listen to? D'Angelo says, no, stop. Please do not go on to imply that LGBT people get discriminated against based on choices that they've made. This can't be real. There's no way you're about to do that. Congratulations, you have just adopted thoroughly homophobic rhetoric to make a point about veganism, which is the exact behavior I was calling out in that vegan teacher.
Repentant action. This is where they are able to justify the actions of some of their anti-gay pastors, right, who are caught in a gay brothel or whatever, right? No, that's different from the man who's out and out gay and in a full-on relationship. I'm an atheist. I don't believe any of this, and I think homophobia is wrong, regardless, whether you're talking about choice or not, but it really suggests that he is the opposition by saying that homophobia is not related to choice. But let's ignore that. Let's just pretend that homophobes really do go after the urge. That's what they hate, is the sexual orientation part. Okay, what about religious bigotry? Religion is even more of a choice. People change their religions all the time, moving from one to another, or
this statement. I don't believe any of this, and I think homophobia is wrong regardless, whether you're talking about choice or not. But it really suggests that he is just not very familiar with the opposition by saying that homophobia is not related to choice. Wow. D'Angelo says, it sounds like you're not familiar with the definition of homophobia at all, though. Oxford via Google says it's dislike of or prejudice against gay people. gay people is referring to their orientation that they can't change. Full stop. To imply that has anything at all to do with choice is wrong. I am so sick and tired of people like Swayze speaking on things they have no idea what they're talking about. Literally everything that she just said was such an absolute mess. I don't even really understand what point she was trying to make there. Why are we comparing the choice to go vegan to being queer? This shows me so deeply. This is an issue of I truly, truly am going to bypass everything that I wanted to just say about that to say that on the wider whole, this is an issue of heterosexual people literally thinking that they know what they're talking about, and they don't know what they're talking about. Swayze has no idea what she is talking about when it comes to queer issues. Her entire religious analogy that she just made is honestly pretty lost on me. I don't clearly understand what it is that she's trying to say there. If anybody can sort of clear up that point for me, please do so in the comments, because that entire commentary that she just said is so deeply out of line. And just another word that D'Angelo used that resonated is it's just unhinged. It's literally just the most unhinged homophobia that I can't really express it in any other way. And I think that's about the amount of emotional labor that I'm capable of doing in this moment to respond to something that like this that I just heard. That's about all I have for that point.
Atheist, or even atheist to Christian or whatever, it's very much a choice.
She very much frames it as a choice to be oppressed. Just listen.
LGBTQ, we support you, but if you don't like oppression, why the fuck are you vegan yet?
How is that not a red flag?
She's talking about oppression of animals, of non-human animals within animal agriculture. You support oppression of others by buying those products. If categorically you don't like oppression, then why are you supporting oppression? Isn't that hypocritical? She's still pro-gay rights because it's the right thing to do, even if some gay people won't acknowledge and change their behavior when it comes to animals. But yeah, she's calling out the...
Oh my God, that's literally so kind of that vegan teacher. She's still supporting LGBTQ people, even though they're not all vegan. Why are we being categorized solely based on being LGBT? We are all people. We are all individual people making choices in this world. We all should be against oppression, whether we are queer or not. She's calling out the online LGBTQ community. It's not how I would do it, but she's not wrong. Let's see what D'Angelo has to say before I respond any more to that point. Who told you that the LGBTQ community needs to be called out for not being vegan, though? You are literally singling them out precisely because they are LGBTQ and have experience with oppression, which is homophobic. Abso-fucking-lutely. Thank you, D'Angelo. Thank you. If you don't like, in quotes, if you don't like your life of being oppressed based on things you can't control, how come you support the oppression of animals? Has to be the least empathetic gotcha moment I've ever heard. I'm not going to post videos singling out women who have been systematically abused and say, if you don't like sexism, why are you still racist? Because that's, well, obscene. Honestly, in this moment, I am just going to let D'Angelo be the incredible ally to the LGBTQ community that he is, and I'm just going to give my stamp of approval to everything that he said and move on, because it's truly too much for me in this moment as a queer person to respond to that kind of statement, it's just really, really disappointing, and it's really sad, and it's really hurtful. It's really, above all else, it's so hurtful. And it lacks such empathy that seriously, these types of things decrease queer people's quality of life, like, so fucking hard.
LGBTQ community. It's not how I would do it, but she's not wrong.
So one comment said, coming out as vegan is not as special as coming out as gay/lesbian. I am lesbian myself. Vegan is a diet, not a sexuality. She responds, coming out as a member of the LGBTQ community is an entirely selfish act. Whoa, this is actually homophobic. I didn't read the whole thing. Coming out as an animal rights activist is talking about the animals, others, not just you. In fact, it is a completely unselfish thing to do. So she's fully homophobic.
Oh my God, the selfish thing. It's biting her in the ass every single time. You cannot say someone is selfish for coming out. You are saying to most people that someone is bad for coming out. Again, I don't think that's the way she's using selfish, going by everything that she said, and obviously she supports gay rights, so that wouldn't really make sense. She explains here in this paragraph that she means coming out is about you, yourself, but, again, she doesn't necessarily do this very well. She doesn't frame it well at all. Again, I wish she would just stop using the word selfish, at all. It's just upsetting people, but it's not.
So Swayze thinks that she can understand the intent behind what that vegan teacher said. You know what this is making me think of right now? And I'm just gonna spill a little bit of tea in this moment. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Black Lives Matter videos and her response that she got and what I think might be going on here. She is basically agreeing that the use of selfish to describe LGBT people coming out to live embodied lives in the world is wrong. She's agreeing that that's not the right thing to do, while also at the same time, she's acting like she knows the intent behind what this woman is saying, and that makes it okay, because she has deemed the intent to be a good intent. The reason that I am equating this to what happened with BLM this summer with her videos regarding Black Lives Matter is because people in my comment section, so I'm sure there were people in her comment section, people who were defending Unnatural Vegan during that time talked a lot about how her intent was not to be racist. So therefore, she is not racist. She has spoken about racism, spoken out against racism in the past. Therefore, she is not racist. Her intent made it so in these people's eyes she was not racist because they deemed her intent the way that they felt like seeing it, instead of looking at the actual harm that was done to Black people, to marginalized communities, speaking to the issue, and addressing that regardless of intent, intent does not matter. Your intent does not matter. And it's not Swayze's, your impact matters. We know this. This is something that we should all have learned by now. Swayze being as prevalent on the internet, as researched as she is, as, embedded enmeshed in these conversations, she should know by now that the intent of someone doesn't matter. And just being like, oh man, her use of selfish is really biting her in the ass this time. God damn it, I wish that she just would stop being so fucking edgy and quirky and stop, using the word selfish because it's really biting her in the ass. I think she has a lot of empathy for that vegan teacher's position, and I don't think that she has much empathy for the communities that are hurting over Unnatural Vegan's own Black Lives Matter videos, over that vegan teacher's racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic rhetoric. We will get there. It's coming. I think that she has more compassion for the position that vegan teacher is in. And I think there's a little bit of projection going on there. I'm going to make a conjecture, a speculation, if you will, and say that I think that there is some projection going on there with a little bit of this alignment with that vegan teacher and a little bit of, complete and utter lack of empathy for marginalized groups and for listening to people and being compassionate to people, to be a good person, but also to have effective vegan advocacy. So that's that on that.
The way she's using it. Very likely wrong, though, even going by her, like, neutral, selfish usage. Coming out as gay isn't necessarily about you. It can be about being authentic and honest to your family and friends for their sake. It can be about your partner and wanting to share your love for them publicly and to marry. Those are all other directed motivations. That vegan teacher, if you're watching this, you're always telling people to watch Dominion, Earthlings, stuff like that.
Oh my god,
I
I'm
would
so
encourage you
fucking
to
kind
watch
right
Happiest
now.
Season on Hulu. It's not a documentary. It's a little, like, rom-com, but that is, like, the entire plot of the movie. That coming out is not just about you. It's really sweet. It's kind of cringy, so I think you'll like it.
So let's talk about Tommy in it. You do need to understand that Tommy is a
Did she just... Okay, I might be reaching, but did she just imply that that vegan teacher is really sweet, but kind of cringy, so she thinks that she'll like it? I missed one of D'Angelo's comments. So this is responding to Unnatural Vegan, quote, "I wish she would stop using the word selfish at all. It's just upsetting people and it's not homophobic the way she's using it." D'Angelo said, "It is homophobic though, which is why it's upsetting people. You can say unintentionally homophobic things. I have said unintentionally homophobic, racist, sexist, transphobic, ageist, etc. stuff because these things systematically work their way into our thinking because of the society in which we grew up. I've had to do the work of accepting my part in that and stopping it. Step one is acknowledging, oh wow, that truly was homophobic, even though I didn't think that way at first. Why is it that Unnatural Vegan is recommending a video, a movie, a coming out movie from, like, who even knows when that was made? It looks like it was made 100 years ago. Why is she recommending that movie to that vegan teacher and completely and utterly ignoring every ounce of education that people are trying to give her in the comments, that people tried to give her in her Black Lives Matter video comments and are trying to give to her now? Ignoring D'Angelo, who is literally taking the time to educate her. He's taking the time to show empathy to her position by saying, you can unintentionally be homophobic, and I've said these things before. We all have. We all have. Not to the extent that Unnatural Vegan is, though. Not to the unapologetic, unhinged way that Unnatural Vegan is, though.
Let's talk about Tommy in it. You do need to understand that Tommy is a child. It's a 16-year-old Minecraft streamer person. I'm pretty confident in saying Tommy in it is one of the few wholesome people on the internet.
He jokes about hating vegetarians.
Vegetarians? Okay. This is one of those times where I should try and run by someone else if I'm allowed to go on about how much I hate vegetarians.
Super wholesome. Like, I'm not, he's a kid. He's a teenager. Are there any wholesome teenagers? Like, wholesome is reserved for, like, wholesome, like, truly wholesome people. Are there even any? I feel like there have been two ever in the history of humanity. That's it.
I don't think I know those
Maybe
people.
he was joking. Maybe I'm just thinking too much about this. But to me, teenager and wholesome just doesn't. Then he talks about her video response.
He's a child.
I'll do it. Whatever it is. The response is on TikTok where she takes his "I'm in the dark" and it says, "You don't have to be in the dark. Watch Dominion."
I'm not saying like she did anything wrong or she's harming Tommy, but it's creepy. She has creepy vibes. This is literally some 16-year-old, and she's flipping them into these creepy cult-like vegan documentary ads.
That is not what a cult ad looks like. This is what a cult ad looks like. Seriously, though, I don't know what he expects a landing page for a documentary about animal cruelty to look like bright, cheery colors. Then they'd be accused of, like, false advertising. You can't win.
No. Context here matters. That vegan teacher is responding to a 16-year-old kid named Tommy Innit who makes Minecraft videos on the internet. And she is trying to convert him to veganism when nothing that he does on the internet directly has to do with veganism or vegetarianism. He's a literal child on the internet making Minecraft videos, and to just come in and try to take somebody and push them in a direction of, like, being vegan seems like a bit cult-like.
Start shoving apples down your throat, you will go to hell. Heaven is for good people.
So did she basically confirm that she was not kidding about meat eaters going to hell?
She's an atheist. She doesn't believe in hell or heaven, so no, she's not being serious. It's very much tongue-in-cheek. Although, obviously, a lot of people do take her seriously. A lot of young people take her seriously. It's very upsetting to them, so yeah, I wish she would just stop doing that, just leave religion out of it, which she even says in one of her videos.
Everybody can be vegan, no matter what your religion is, though. So I'm not sure why you're bringing Christianity into it. It has nothing to do with it.
She should take her own advice.
Unnatural Vegan, you should take literally everyone else's advice and stop what you're doing and like listen to people who are coming to you saying that they are hurting.
Trying to encourage this guy, Tommy Innit, who I don't even know, hates vegans or something. So I'm like, okay.
Tommy does not hate vegans.
Tommy disagrees.
How much I hate vegetarians.
I'm sure he's joking, but like, number one, maybe don't joke about that. Some of your viewers maybe not.
Bro, he's 16 years old.
Someone say, I hate vegetarians. Like, it's not even a joke. It's just I hate vegetarians. Oh. And number two.
This must be the vegan phobia that she's talking about. This is the systemic vegan phobia that she's talking about. This is like the brunt of what vegan and vegetarians get for being vegan and vegetarian, and it's just like too much for her to handle.
None of these people seem capable of telling when someone is joking, at least when it's coming from someone they don't like, so.
Veganism is a moral baseline.
Who's none of these people? Who are these people? Has D'Angelo said anything yet? Yes, he responded. None of these people seem capable of telling when someone is joking, at least when it's coming from someone they don't like. D'Angelo says, fun fact, I've skipped many of your points thus far because you were nitpicking jokes that I made. Literally.
For any kind-hearted person on this planet. And anyone who thinks that that's not true, they are simply one of the tiny minority of people who are psychopaths in this world.
I definitely do believe people unwittingly support animal cruelty without realizing. But to say that we're psychopathic for doing so.
She's definitely talking about the people who are fully aware, fully informed, and still think it's fine to do so. It's easy to criticize.
She's definitely talking about those people. Swayze knows her intention. She knows who she's talking about. She knows that. She knows who we're talking about here. And that also, with that assumption made, that she just made, it's an assumption, that's just like correct to her. That's like correct behavior. That's like a correct statement that they are psychopaths. I'm wondering.
Her for being careless with her words, for under-explaining. I'll do a lot of that in my next video. But she hasn't said that non-vegans are psychopaths, and it's pretty clear she doesn't believe that because she says in that very video that psychopaths represent a tiny portion of the population.
They are simply one of the tiny minority of people who are psychopaths in this world.
If we are to take those surveys on animal rights seriously, it seems like most people in developed countries recognize that eating meat is problematic, at least on some level. Again, some of this is on her for being careless in the way she speaks, but some of it is also on him for being careless in the way he listens. It seems like this was part of a stream and he's just watching and talking.
Okay. I literally feel like I'm just holding in like a diarrhea shit right now of just like screaming into the abyss. Talk about hypocritical. Okay. I would just like her to admit that she's a hypocrite. Admit that she is a hypocrite for the things that she says. It would be a lot easier to listen to her without just spewing hypocritical rhetoric all the time. She's saying that D'Angelo needs to listen better. I'm fucking deceased. I am dead. I am dead. I am aghast. I am floored. I am flabbergasted. I am gobsmacked. I'm gobbledy-gobsmacked.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. And now the moral baseline thing.
Veganism is a moral baseline for any kind-hearted person on this planet.
I feel like you don't hear that much anymore. A lot more complicated topic. If there even is a moral baseline, yeah, she could very well be wrong here, depending on what she actually believes. As per usual, it's not clear.
Why is Unnatural Vegan, like, why does she think that she is the moral compass? Like, of, like, this is wrong and this is right in terms of other people's intention?
So the last thing we're going to do is look at that vegan teacher's alt TikTok. You may have noticed that there's a lot going on here. This is like an alt version of Katie that's, like, super nice, where she LARPs as this nurse. And just so we're clear, I don't personally believe she's a real nurse.
Why would you not believe her? Like, she said she's a nurse. I have no reason not to believe her, and going by links that I will not share because it's people invading her privacy. According to those, she's a retired nurse of 25 years and she's currently a school teacher. Again,
D'Angelo, what are you going to say? Why wouldn't you believe that she's a nurse? D'Angelo, why? Because ... she's a nurse cosplay ... doing a nurse character? Question mark?
why wouldn't you believe that? Like, being a nurse is not an extraordinary claim. Lots of people are nurses. It's a pretty common profession. It just seems like really bad faith to doubt simple claims like this.
So if you're not aware, that vegan teacher was doxxed, meaning that her personal information was leaked, and that's not okay. We can all agree that doxing is not okay. And D'Angelo says, I understand she's a nurse now that you brought that information forward, but you're acting like she flashed her nursing degree and showed pictures of her in a doctor's office, then said, nope, I don't believe it. I was clearly reacting to the costume and fake voice she was doing because that vegan nurse is clearly a character and not supposed to be a real person. Why would you, if you're a nurse, why would you cosplay as a nurse and then people are confused of whether or not you're a nurse, and that's not completely understandable? Unnatural Vegan has talked, it is literally one of her main gripes with people who speak about things that they are not informed about. Who speak about things that they have no qualifications to speak on in a way that they are trying to project that they are qualified about something. She's all about, and has been in the past, about being very, very clear about your qualifications, and that was not made clear. The only reason that Unnatural Vegan knows that is because her docs was released. Which, like, what, where is, why... that's
cringy and making fun of her other character. Yes, she has another character, that vegan nurse, and to me, this is the worst one of all. This is by far the creepiest one. She's doing this like weird, shy, almost like a little kid thing. She's got her hair in pigtails.
Oh, that is the sweetest thing. You can't sleep at night because you have a crush on me. I totally get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. I also have a crush on somebody right now, so we have something in common. Isn't that amazing? For me, there's this new doctor at work, and I was just so excited because I was really, really hoping he was going to be vegan, and he was in front of me at the lineup at the cafeteria, and I was just like watching him, and I knew he was going to order something, and I didn't know if it was going to be the veggie burger or the dead animal burger, which would make me like so sad. And I was watching him, and I was like crossing my fingers like this, and I was like crossing my legs too, just like hoping.
Okay. When you guys sent me clips talking about how cringy, that's the shit I was expecting. That's cringe. That's going in my cringe file. Oh. Anyway, this is one of that vegan.
I'm so sorry. I'm like leaving my body. That was, I can barely watch that. That was absolutely wild. D'Angelo says in response to her that she has another character and it's this weird shy little kid thing. She's got her hair in pigtails. D'Angelo says, yes, exactly. Thus, I didn't believe she was a real nurse at that time. The vegan nurse is, as you said, a character she does.
Nurse videos he shares.
Hi everybody, Happy New Year! I wanted to talk to you a little bit about organ donation. By donating organs and tissues when you die, you can save up to 8 lives.
I'm sorry, according to this Medium article, she literally said she's no longer an organ donor because humans are too evil to deserve to continue living. And then she says, go sign your organ donor cards.
One of these things is newer than the other. Can you guess which one? It's the New Year's Eve one where she encourages people to donate. She may very well have changed her mind. It's not necessarily a contradiction. It's something that we should be happy to see. She has talked about dystopia before, the anguish of being vegan in a non-vegan world where you become depressed by seeing everybody around you supporting animal cruelty. Maybe she was going through a dark time when she posted the original one. Or she was just trolling. That would not surprise me. Anyway, I will be talking about her more pessimistic and even misanthropic view.
I think D'Angelo was just pointing out that vegan teacher never, like, explicitly said that her viewpoint on that situation has changed and that people believed that she had very strong, outspoken beliefs in one way, and then she changed those strong, outspoken beliefs to be something that completely contradicted that message, and I think he was just pointing that out.
I feel bad for vegans at this point. Other people who are not looking into it so closely might just think, this
I just realized that she keeps referring to this part 3, which I'm assuming is coming after this and has not been released yet, and that's awful.
I feel bad for vegans at this point. Other people who are not looking into it so closely might just think, this is veganism. It is Miss Katie on TikTok.
So again, I've changed my mind here a little bit. I might have thought that a few years ago, I might have agreed with that. But while prejudice against vegans is still common and very much encouraged in a lot of circles, I think enough sensible people know enough vegans now, either personally or, via the internet, to know that most vegans are not like her, that she's the outlier. I mean, we already have a lot of examples of people responding to ideas in different ways. Look at Christianity.
So all of a sudden, it's perfectly fine to ignore people who do absolutely atrocious vegan activism because they are outliers and they're not going to affect the overall image of veganism. So it's just like okay to just not speak out against that, but instead to perpetuate it by literally supporting it through a video you're making, responding and defending that person who is doing that. You're responding and defending the outlier who you're saying would make people turned off to veganism. But because you somehow have a soft spot for this woman or something is happening there where you feel the need to protect her, because that is happening, all of a sudden it's okay to just do atrocious vegan activism because there's now enough vegans that will offset that type of absolutely ridiculous behavior.
Chill, hippie, even vegan Christians, and then you've got fire and brimstone. We understand that beliefs on their own do not necessarily dictate someone's personality or their behaviors. They can have some influence, sure, but it's part of a larger picture, and stereotyping is just not very productive. And again, the people who are going to stereotype and be that ridiculous and say well, I'd go vegan if they were nicer. No, you wouldn't. There will likely always be people who just hate vegans for not eating meat. I'm not convinced that the existence of people like that vegan teacher is making any difference there. The theory is that the hate is mostly internally sourced.
I understand that she says that this is something that she used to believe and now doesn't believe, but she has made so much of her platform discussing and pointing out bad vegan activism that I don't understand why an excuse is being made for this racist, homophobic person on TikTok who is acting like a registered nurse but is not giving accurate qualifications. And why is she protecting this person? Why is this person being protected by Unnatural Vegan? What's the motive? What's the deal? What's the tea? What's going on here?
Frustration actually stems from themselves, their own insecurity, feeling insecure about their own actions, about eating meat and not being able to justify it. So feeling guilt, they turn it into moral outrage instead, kind of like how the worst homophobes are gay themselves. Their hatred of gays has nothing to do with gay people and everything to do with themselves.
Is that true? Does she have scientific fucking evidence to support that the worst types of homophobes are gay themselves? The worst types? Or is that an opinion? Because presenting something as fact that is not factual, that is not even necessarily possible to put a value on. What
messaging and with her target audience, at least sometimes her target audience. Again, I will examine all of that in the next video. But mostly, I think she's a very passionate vegan who is weird, cringy, maybe socially awkward. She maybe doesn't really understand how bad it is bringing up someone's weight and their girlfriend and calling people losers. Or maybe she's just very stubborn and will not listen to people when they criticize her demeanor and her tone, because look, a lot of vegans are criticizing that. It's not just non-vegans. Maybe she's just very stubborn and will not listen to people when they criticize her demeanor and her tone, because look, a lot of vegans are criticizing that. It's not just non-vegans. It's obvious she believes veganism is very, very important, and that
That is a projection. That is so wild. That is so wild.
Is good activism. More views is good activism, regardless of the context. I don't agree with that. A lot of people, a lot of vegans do not agree with that. Holy crap, what is going on? I really wish she would consider criticism of her activism. I doubt she will, because she mentions in I think that one video that she used to be really sweet and kind and it didn't do anything, and like this is more effective, so maybe a lost cause there. And also, it's kind of hard to when most of the responses to her are like this, where there's like two kind of valid points mixed in with she's awful,
She is awful.
she's homophobic, eating meat is fine, it's just a choice. It's hard to glean anything meaningful from videos like that. I think it's clear that was supposed to be the conclusion, but that vegan teacher responded to D'Angelo's video, and then D'Angelo responded to her, and I think it's worth going through some of his points.
Okay, so this was supposed to just be the video initially to D'Angelo's first video, and then when that vegan teacher responded to D'Angelo, we're gonna discuss that. This is again where I'm going to remind you to go watch that response video that D'Angelo made to that vegan teacher's response to D'Angelo before you watch this. It is something to behold. It is something to behold, this response from that vegan teacher. So let's see what Swayze has to say.
Don't worry, none of the criticisms I have in this apply to vegans, because this woman is not even really a vegan.
So first, this seems like similar, just bad faith reading as the nurse thing, just not believing she's a nurse for some reason. But no, it's not. He actually provides reasoning for this claim.
So as for my final thoughts on all of this, according to Katie herself, veganism is a moral baseline for being a kind human. So according to Katie herself, she's not even really a vegan.
The claim that if you are not vegan, you are not a kind person does not imply that if you are not a kind person, then you are not vegan. That's like saying if you are not a mammal, you are not a dog. That's true, because all dogs are mammals. So if you're not a mammal, you can't be a dog. But then to say if you are not a dog, then you are not a mammal, well, no, there are lots of mammals that aren't dogs. I think that wins is the worst argument for like someone being...
In terms of the definition of veganism, veganism is abstaining from using animal products as much as possible and practical and you're able to do in your life. That is what being vegan is. That's when what people mean when they say I'm vegan. So redefining what veganism is not what D'Angelo is trying to do here. D'Angelo is trying to point out that according to that vegan teacher's own moral compass of what she is saying being vegan is, and that being vegan entails being kind, that she is not acting according to her own moral values. And while I don't agree that like the entire definition of veganism has anything to do with kindness, I think what D'Angelo is saying is he's pointing out the hypocrisy in terms of how that vegan teacher treats humans and treats humans with less compassion. In this case, treats marginalized groups of human beings with less compassion than she does animals.
Maybe 1 or 2 of your 1 million followers will come over here, and maybe
I
they
hope
will
not.
see what I'm all about, and they will learn to become vegan.
It always amuses me in some way when people start their responses off like that. Like, I know you basically criticized me for 10 minutes and pointed out that what I'm doing is awful, but I appreciate the shout out, bro. I'm not mad. It gives me the energy of that one meme. Like, this is very much the energy that she has created in the studio today.
I didn't get the sense that she was mad, and I would be surprised if she were, given how poor his arguments were. Probably explains why she didn't address them at all and just like grades him on whether or not he addresses animal cruelty. She's obviously trolling him, not to be ageist, I guess, but like she's an older lady. It's just, she's not supposed to be good at trolling. But apparently she is.
I think he's just pointing out the trend that a lot of times when somebody makes a response video to someone's content, they start by being like, thanks for directing more traffic to my page, ooh woo. I think that's really all that he was trying to say. I think that she's reaching.
Forgot to talk about the egg industry, D'Angelo. I don't think that...
D'Angelo!
The dairy industry.
Oh my god.
Did you talk about
I forgot that she calls him D'Angelo through the entire thing. That is absolutely wild. That is absolutely wild. That is unfathomable.
the wool industry, silk, fur, or honey at all? No, I don't think so.
This is the weirdest, like, response video I've ever received. Instead of addressing even one of the points I made in a 10-minute video, and I had quite a few, she instead decides to criticize me for not talking about veganism.
I mean, he didn't really make very many points. A lot of it was calling her cringy, saying she's not a nurse for some reason, just not believing her, and then...
Nope. All of the points that D'Angelo made are what we've addressed thus far about racism and homophobia and being a bigot. That's what we've addressed thus far.
calling her like homophobic and just a overall bigot, but like she knows that she's not homophobic, and it's not really something you can prove prove, I guess, so why even try to defend it? But if you watch like her response to I Never, she goes through a lot of the points and she's like not really.
Being homophobic is something that people prove with their own damn actions. Are you actually, like, are you that dense? You are not that dense, are you? Are you that dense? You're not, right? No. But are you?
Trolling throughout the whole thing. She's very serious, and I think that's because in I Never's case, I mean, he was like actively promoting eating meat and saying it's fine and just a choice and saying chicken nuggets and shit like that, and that's just not what D'Angelo does in his video. So I think she was like genuinely upset by I Never's video, and she wasn't by D'Angelo's, hence the very different response.
Signs that make people think a little bit about where did COVID come from. It didn't come from tofu, I'll tell you that.
I think trying to argue in any way, shape, or form that COVID-19 is upon us because there's not enough vegans is insane. Where did COVID come from? It certainly wasn't tofu. Is not only a ridiculous point, but has like undertones that I'm really not a fan of.
It hasn't been conclusively determined where exactly COVID-19 originated. COVID-19 is the disease. Whatever. It's really hard to do because viruses jump from species to species, but the wet market theory is still a credible theory. Probably not the specific wet market they were looking at, but it is still on the table. One of the scientists who's part of the team that is starting or about to start investigating this, he will contribute his knowledge on how pathogens spread in wet markets. He's also investigated how salmonella and other bacteria spread through smallholder farms, slaughterhouses, and live animal markets in his home country of Vietnam and across Southeast Asia. If it did originate in wet markets or slaughterhouses, whatever, then it's necessarily true that we have this pandemic because there aren't enough vegans. At least, like, specifically enough vegans in the area of China where it actually originated. Like, it wouldn't have been prevented by more vegans in the US. But regardless, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't.
COVID-19, if the theory is true that they think, originated from a wet market, from an animal or animals at a wet market. COVID-19 originated from animals. It didn't originate from there not being enough vegans in China to prevent it from happening. Does the COVID-19 theory of origin bring up a lot of really important things to talk about in terms of the animal exploitation industry and in terms of how it impacts both animals and humans? Yes, absolutely. Was COVID-19 caused by there not being enough vegans in the world? No.
Animal agriculture has still been identified as a likely source for future pandemics. This isn't vegans saying this to like promote veganism. This is major health organizations warning about this risk.
Animal cruelty and the link to other forms of oppression such as sexism, racism, ableism, and ageism. Did you talk about that?
I actually did. I literally did talk about that in my video. I said there is no link. I made that point in my video, the first one, but perhaps it wasn't clear enough. It is racist, sexist, homophobic, insert bigotry to compare these issues to animals in any way, shape, or form.
Comparing is not equating. Racists and speciesists commonly engage in the same kinds of bad arguments to devalue others. It makes sense to compare the two. And being able to compare one struggle to another is an effective way to create empathy. And sometimes demonstrating how the arguments are the same can lead people to doubt their own bad arguments. Now, does that mean fixing speciesism will like also fix racism? No, of course not. This isn't rational. People can compartmentalize. People can use terrible arguments for one, but then also be able to argue against similar terrible arguments when it comes to another cause or another issue. Because again, this isn't rational. People aren't always rational. Rarely rational, and just because the reasoning is similar doesn't mean the solutions are. Problems with police brutality, discrimination in housing, systemic racism that is baked into our criminal justice system have nothing to do with veganism. And on the other hand, agricultural subsidies, dangerous, fad vegan diets, and like the meat lobby attacking plant-based meats has nothing to do with racism.
The issues that she just named about veganism having nothing to do with racism are not the only fucking issues that exist that make veganism and racism intersect. Please refer to my first video I made responding to Unnatural Vegan's Black Lives Matter videos where I go into detail more about what I think about that whole point that she's trying to make here. As I said in my first video, veganism is an inherently intersectional movement because oppression and privilege impact every single person who make up that movement. And therefore, Black Lives Matter is a movement that seeks to eradicate the systemic oppression that Black people face And veganism intersects with that because Black people are a part of the vegan movement. A few of the issues that affect veganism and the Black community, affect race and veganism together, are food deserts, so low socioeconomic status impacting disproportionately Black and brown people, access to veganism as a whole. Why are we talking about lobbying about plant-based foods as an argument that these two things have nothing to do with each other?
None of that really matters in this case because I've never seen that vegan teacher say that. I've never seen her say that the solutions are the same or that solving one necessarily solves the other. The video continues on like this for a while. It's mostly talking about like Holocaust and racism analogies and references that she makes, song or poem or whatever about George Floyd, and saying that, you know, this is racist.
We need to teach this to all of these
Song or poem or whatever about George Floyd. She goes on to talk about some Holocaust stuff. Why the absolute fuck are we brushing over this part of the video? Oh my absolute sweet fuck. What the actual gobsmacking shit is going on there? Did D'Angelo respond to any of these points that I have missed? The comparing is not equating point. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to look at your comment section right now and tell me if the comparison is effective. I see a whole lot of people very clearly and calmly explaining exactly why that's not a useful comparison at all. He also said in response to what she just said, the video continues on for a while. It's mostly talking about the Holocaust and racism analogies she makes, a song or poem or whatever about George Floyd. He says, so you completely and intentionally skipped over the George Floyd song and the Auschwitz/Holocaust comparisons, which I describe as unhinged and racist. It says a lot about your unwillingness to engage with my main point, which was a thorough line between my two videos. That vegan teacher is racist and says racist things online and has racist content available online. I'm just going to leave it at that absolutely concise message of it really says a lot about her unwillingness to engage with his main point. It is shockingly obvious. Shockingly so.
minority groups who claim that they are victims. Are they victims? Yes. Are they oppressors? Yes.
She's right though. Just because someone is a victim doesn't mean they aren't causing harm elsewhere. Like this, humans are complicated. Anyway, I've talked about this in other videos, you know, why these claims are not inherently racist, but
Unnatural Vegan, you are causing harm. You are causing harm right now. You are causing harm. Do you care about that?
you know, I think problematic in terms of the delivery because they obviously upset people. They make people angry. They make it hard to get the message across. So, you know, probably not a good idea. That said, she has said at least one thing that may actually be racist. I haven't really seen anyone else touch on this. I will cover that in the next video.
But this whole lack of respect for basic human life is a threat. It's a thing that...
She's not going to talk about it right now. She's going to string us along and make us wait for her next video. That is fucking stupid.
He does. This is her responding to someone commenting saying, my friend literally died from malnutrition because of your posts. I tried to get him to eat meat, but he was committed and died because of you.
Oh my god. Your friend died trying to be vegan? Oh, I feel terrible.
This happened.
Oh my god, what did he eat? What did he eat that killed him? Was it a banana?
So she actually addressed this before. It's on YouTube. I mean, it's not hard to find, but, you know, that doesn't even matter. It should be obvious from the video that she's being sarcastic, that she doesn't believe that someone actually died from following her advice. She gets these kind of comments a lot. Anyone who's like a public vegan does. I'm sure if these actually happened, we would have heard about them. They would have been public news. We know
Oh
how
my
much
God.
mainstream media loves to talk about vegans dying, even when it has nothing to do with veganism. It's hard to understand why D'Angelo is so willing to believe this random internet comment, but he can't believe that she could actually be a nurse.
D'Angelo is not saying that he necessarily believes or disbelieves the comment. D'Angelo is saying that the way that this woman responded to someone saying their friend died of malnutrition in response to her videos says an infinite amount of things. Again, she is saying that she knows the intent behind this woman's actions, and regardless of her intent, she literally downplayed someone talking about how their friend died due to something that she might have put out on the internet. And she responded to it in a mocking tone with mocking words and an overall shitty response of just being like a literal loser. Like, I am so sorry. Why are we defending this? Why are we sitting here defending that? Why are we brushing over that? And why did we literally brush over? I am absolutely stuck on and shocked that she brushed over and did not show in the video the footage of that vegan teacher being so incredibly racist and so incredibly exploitative of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not even funny. It is so utterly transparent that she did not put that footage in there, because that footage would have just blown up her entire fucking video, because it's so utterly disgusting. It's disgusting. And Unnatural Vegan, that was an absolutely despicable thing to do. That is honestly shocking. I shouldn't be shocked about any of this anymore, but I am shocked.
Kidding, it's not. It's really easy to understand. He doesn't like her. He wants to believe that her platform, like, led to someone's death. He's obviously not stupid. He just turns his brain off because it's easier, and he gets to have this great moment where it looks like she's making fun of someone's death. And again, you could make...
D'Angelo responded to this and said, the only thing you got right in that entire sentence is that I'm not stupid. And first of all, I just love that. She said he just turns his brain off because it's easier, and he gets to have this great moment where it looks like she's making fun of someone's death. First of all, she is making fun of someone's death. Whether it happened or not, she's making fun of someone saying that their friend died. You absolute fool. You're defending that? You absolute fool. That is so absolutely embarrassing. I have, like, severe secondhand embarrassment right now. I'm wearing a black shirt so that my pit stains are not obvious, because they're literally down to my fucking toes right now.
A really good argument against her stuff. I mean, he can't, because these people don't actually know anything about veganism, but there are some serious problems with some of the stuff she recommends regarding, like, vegan nutrition. Again, I'll talk about that in part 3.
Can always speak out on behalf of the animals. If you see somebody hurting an animal, you can say something.
Okay, I'm saying something. Give your dog some meat, please.
Awesome to see him jumping on this stupid bandwagon. Dogs are omnivores. They're not carnivores. Given a properly balanced diet, they don't need meat. There are problems with a lot of the, like, vegan, kibbles made by small companies that are poorly formulated. And there may be some issues with some ingredients themselves, like having a food with a high P content. I actually have a whole video on this. But safe, professionally formulated dog food from large brands that is fully vegetarian, that's made for dogs with allergies, this stuff has been around for years.
I know nothing about feeding animals a vegan diet. I don't have a strong opinion about it because I don't know enough about it. Here's what D'Angelo says. This statement is ridiculous on all levels. First of all, I am not clueless about veganism, which is why I was easily able to separate her divisive rhetoric from actual veganism, and clarified in both videos that none of my criticisms of her went for any other vegan. Moreover, the idea that I would need to be knowledgeable about veganism to call out racist behavior from a vegan is ridiculous. Yes.
With racists on the internet, because there's nothing to debate. Any further response she has to this video is just going to be her talking to herself. The lesson here is clear. If I make 2 videos about you, it can only be for 1 or 2 reasons. Either that first video got something wrong, and I'm sorry, or that first video led you to believe that I was here to play around. And in that case, I'm very sorry.
Then can we expect a 3rd video offering an apology, since you've been like 90% wrong in these past 2 videos? I'm gonna guess no. Anyway, stay tuned for part 3 where I go over
She just said that D'Angelo Wallace needs to apologize for these videos. This white woman just said that D'Angelo needs to apologize for calling out racist behavior. He needs to apologize, according to Unnatural Vegan. That truly sums up like her entire character. I don't know what could make things more clear. D'Angelo says, that bit was the only part of the video where I laughed. And not because the joke was funny, but because it's laughable to categorize 20 minutes of footage in which I clearly highlight bigoted behavior and explain why it's wrong and how it reinforces harmful ideas as 90% wrong.
Well, problems with that vegan teacher is stuff that I or D'Angelo Wallace did not address because they don't research things. I mean, it's why they're able to get stuff out so quickly, right? And that vegan teacher too, they just post shit, right? And they don't really know what they're talking about. To be fair, most people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to ethics or logic.
She's the most condescending human I have ever seen. I truly have not ever seen anyone more condescending. I can't think of one single person in the entire world that I have ever seen that's more condescending than her. There's nobody that I can think of that is more condescending in attitude, in tone, in the way that she speaks to other people. I truly cannot imagine.
Especially when being unbiased means acknowledging your role in supporting like extreme animal cruelty almost every time you sit down for a meal. So here's the ending now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, guys, we watched it. We got through it. To conclude, I am repulsed and I am disgusted and I am in physical pain because of how repulsed and disgusted I am. And that's about summing it up. And I mean every word that I said there. I am so repulsed and disgusted that I am in physical pain. I really cannot believe this. Again, I'm shocked in a way of like I'm not surprised. I'm just gobsmacked in the motherfucker because I just cannot understand coming out with this after what happened with her 2 Black Lives Matter videos. I cannot even fathom telling D'Angelo to apologize for the 2 videos that he made when she made a video entitled, "This is not an apology." I am absolutely disgusted, and I think it's despicable. Before I go, because my iPad is running out of storage and my brain is about to explode, I'm on my absolute last brain cell here in this moment, I just wanted to go over the general response to this video and how it kind of sums up the entirety of this situation. So the likes to dislikes ratio is just absolutely ridiculous on this. The dislikes are like more than twice as many as the likes, and on her social blade, looking at her sub count, she has lost 7,000 subscribers from this. She's gone from 266,000 to 259,000 subscribers in the span of like less than 48 hours, and she is absolutely bleeding subs. Her comment sections are filled with people, again, explaining and telling her and educating her about how absolutely disgusting and repulsive and perpetuating of bigotry and racism and homophobia this entire video series is. And I don't expect her to listen to a single moment of it. I expect her to continue demanding apologies from people who do not need to apologize and continuing to ignore and not listen to a single voice other than her own and other than her own cherry-picked people that she wants to follow and die on hills for whatever reason that is. Over the summer, she lost about 4,000 subscribers, I believe, from the entire debacle, and ever since that point, she did not gain. She remained at a steady sameness to her sub count. She was not gaining. Before these 2 videos that Unnatural Vegan posted, the D'Angelo Wallace and iNabber responses, she posted a video called "Anti-Capitalism is Anti-Vegan," which I have not watched, but I think from the title is absolutely ridiculous. And before that, I want to point out that her views were pretty poor for a little while now. So that "Anti-Capitalism is Anti-Vegan, I'm a capitalist pig?" video got 122,000 views. And before that, let me read you a handful of them in order. from that point backwards of how she was doing in terms of views. 28, 36, 49, 20, 25, 50, 36, 63, 43, 16, 15, 27, 21, 21, 20, 16, 29, 52. Okay, we are at 2 months ago. So for a full month, she did not get the amount of views that she, even close to the amount of views that she got in this video and her Black Lives Matter videos. Let's continue on. 88, 36, 47, 43, 32, 59, 31, 18, 47, 55, 17. For reference, the 2 Black Lives Matter videos that she posted got 95,000 and 93,000 views respectively. For the past 7 months since she posted those videos, her views have not been great. And I want to point out that I truly believe that this also is a tactic to gain relevancy, since engagement is, whether it's positive or negative, ultimately benefits your channel by getting exposure. And also, of course, I want to point out that she's bringing D'Angelo, Wallace, and iNabber in, who have a significantly more subscribers than her, specifically D'Angelo Wallace, who has over 2.5 million collective subscribers on his 2 channels. I just want to point out that absolutely do I believe she is doing this because she believes it, and because she knows that it's going to get her channel boosted. It's going to give her views. So even ultimately, if she's losing subscribers, I feel like she is leaning more and more into these types of videos that are leaving out huge chunks of the points that people are making. For example, the core points, the thorough line points of what D'Angelo was making, and just responding in a cherry-picked manner in order to be deeply, deeply problematic, controversial, and harmful. And I think it's absolutely despicable and ridiculous. And my final message is for Unnatural Vegan's subscribers. What are you doing? What are you doing still supporting her? What is happening? Why? Answer in the comments. Why are you still supporting her? And on that note, I am off to edit this video. Thank you so much for your time, space, energy, and attention for watching this. I genuinely appreciate it. And if I can find any more response videos, I haven't looked and haven't seen any yet, from other people who are responding to this situation. After I watch them, I will leave them in the description when this video is uploaded. So thank you all very much. Blessed be.